Hello folks, I'm Alex, this is Alex Unabridged, and today I've got my April TBR for you. So welcome or welcome back to the channel if that is the case. It's April, month of my birthday, yay! Which means I'll have some pennies to spend on books, so that's dangerous. But also it's a huge month for reading events and such like. So I want to go through my TBR today for April. It's a TBR but probably mostly a hope to read because, as you'll see, there's a lot that I want to get through this month, and I doubt I'll get through it all. Although, you know, Easter weekend, so there's a bit of holiday, and, you know, a lot of it, I've kind of planned it so that there are some easy stuff, easy things to get through as well. So I do hope to get through as much of it as humanly possible, because there are two events this month which I really am looking forward to, that I'm really excited for. All links, timestamps rather, will be in the description, so if you want to jump to the TBR for a particular event that I'm doing, then do feel free to do so, because as I say, I've got quite a lot to get through on this one. So let's get straight into stuff. Let's start with the continuing things that I'm doing, which is, of course, is the Adventures in Genre. And Adventures in Genre for April is autobiography and memoir. I've read a very small amount of that kind of thing in the past, but what I have read, I've very much enjoyed. So I thought, let's make that one of my Adventures in Genre. So yes, I will be doing that for April. March's wrap up for Adventures in Genre for mystery is coming probably towards the end of the week, probably Friday. I should think I will get that one out. But yes, for April, I am going to be trying to get through, first of all, The Sound of Laughter by Peter Kay. It's the first of his memoirs. For anybody who doesn't know who Peter Kay is, I don't think there's probably that many out there, but maybe a few folks across the pond, I'm not sure. He's a very British comic, very northern British comic, from sort of the region that I'm in, the northwest. And I love him, I find him absolutely hilarious. So I want to read his memoir, and I'm sure that will be an audiobook, narrated by Peter Kay, so I'm sure that will be a great laugh. Another one, a completely different, is Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass, which I've had on my sort of wish list for a while, and noticed that it was on Kindle Unlimited, I believe. So either on Kindle Unlimited or extremely cheap on Kindle. And so I thought, oh yeah, now is the time to read that, and it's quite short as well, so I should be able to get through that without any trouble. But yeah, that's one that I've looked at several times in the past and had on my wish list for a while now, and one that I really feel I should read, and that I want to read. So that is the second, and then the third is. And this is only a possible, this one, I might not get to this one, but this one is called Caught in the Act by Shane Jenek, who is an Aussie drag queen, and yeah, it just looks like a really interesting memoir. He sounds like quite an interesting person, so I thought, again, I would give that one a crack if I get to it. If not, that one I will read later in the year, when I'm probably in June, when I read some queer stuff for Pride Month. But there are some other memoirs and autobiographies on my list for April as part of one of the events. So let's get to the first event then, which is Trans Girl April. So this is an event organised by the fabulous Kevvie, whose channel I will link to, and whose announcement for Trans Girl April I will link to as well. And this has been, as I say, organised by Kevvie, along with Willow from Books with Bow. Both fantastic channels. They've fast become a couple of my favourite channels. And this is to celebrate and read the work of trans and non-binary authors. So to the prompts 1 to 9. So we've got a lovely little table that's been made by Kevvie, which really helped me just kind of figure out what to read. So we've got, you know, a good variety of voices to get through. First of all, I've not picked the first one yet. I've got two that I might, two to choose from for fiction by a trans woman. One of those is Variations by Juliette Jacques. And this is a short story collection. It's fiction sort of written that's been inspired by like found material and real life events, and explores British transgender history. It says, I'm just going from the description here, Variations travels from Oscar Wilde's London to austerity-era Belfast via interwar Cardiff, a drag bar in Liverpool just after the decriminalisation of homosexuality, Manchester's protests against Clause 28, and Brighton in the 2000s. And so this sounds like, you know, this sounds fascinating. So that is definitely one that I've got on the list. The other one I have in that category is Fierce Femmes and Notorious Liars, a dangerous trans girl's confabulous memoir, which the title in itself is enough to make me want to read it. And that is by Kai Cheng Tom. This I would do as an audiobook because it's quite a short audiobook. This one, I saw this one recommended, Kevvie recommended this one. It sounds hilarious and, you know, interesting and just, yeah, like something completely different to Variations. By all accounts, it's about a girl who runs away from an oppressive city, and finds herself in a magical place known only as the Street of Miracles, and she's adopted there by a vigilante gang of warrior femmes called the Lipstick Lacerators, whose mission is to scour the streets of violent men and avenge murdered trans women everywhere. And it sounds bonkers, I think, this book, and I think it'd be a very entertaining read. So yeah, that is the second one to pick from. That'll be a mood pick, dependent on you know, how I'm feeling at the time. The book, the non-fiction book by a trans woman that I'll read will be Transitional by Munro Bergdorf, who I adore. And this is another memoir, so this will fit into my adventures in genre as well. And this is activist and writer Munro Bergdorf's kind of drawing on her own experience, but also with theory from experts, change makers, other activists, etc., to look at how the idea of transitioning is not restricted to trans people. It's transitioning, the idea of transitioning, change, is key human experience. And I think that's a really, you know, important take. You know, that's kind of how I feel about the idea of transitioning as well. So I'm very interested to read what Munro has got to say on this, because as I say, I adore her. She's I follow her on social media, and you know, read her the articles that she writes in various magazines where I can, and you know, she's an important voice. So yes, that is the non-fiction pick. And then the genre fiction pick by a trans woman will be the first book, not the full omnibus, but the first book of In the Shadow of Extinction by Kelly Warner, which is a kaiju epic. And I first saw this on Andrew's channel. It came from the page, and really liked the sound of it. And then realised that the author was a trans woman, and so yes, I thought, right, I'll save that for Trans Girl April. But the omnibus is like 700 and something pages, and it comes as an omnibus now. So I will read book 1, which I think is around about 300 pages. So that's more doable. So that is my genre fiction pick by a trans woman. Okay, on to fiction by a trans man. That one will be Several People Are Typing, which I think this one was another one that Kevvie recommended. And basically this is a guy who ends up having his consciousness uploaded onto the internet, and chaos ensues, I guess. It sounds bizarre. Again, it's another one that sounds bonkers, and I like bonkers. So we'll give that one a crack. The non-fiction by a trans man is another memoir, and that is Transmission, My Quest to a Beard, by Alex Bertie, who is a young trans guy. And as I say, this is a memoir, and seems, from what I can see online, is pitched more towards kind of a younger sort of, it's young adult kind of readers. It would be really interesting to read a recent memoir by a trans guy, and a young trans guy, somebody quite a bit younger than me, because the only memoirs like that I've read before were like way back when, when I was kind of looking to transition, and kind of trying to find stuff to read, that would have been back in like 2005, 6, something like that, and I was reading stuff that had obviously kind of been written prior to that. So it'd be very interesting to see like another take on that, a much more contemporary take on somebody's experience. And the genre fiction pick for a book written by a trans guy is To Strip the Flesh by Oto Toda, which is manga. This I wanted something a bit different for some of these prompts, just so that I wasn't reading text-based stuff all the time. I wanted some visual stuff as well, and this one, I'm trying to think who recommended this one. This one might have been Willow, and yes, this one caught my eye, both in terms of art style and in terms of synopsis. I will read you the brief synopsis on this. Chiaki Ogawa has never doubted who he is, although the rest of the world hasn't been as kind. Bound by his mother's dying wish, Chiaki tries to be a good daughter to his ailing father. But when the burden becomes too great, Chiaki sets out to remake himself in his own image and discovers more than just personal freedom in his transition. He finds understanding from the people who matter most. So yes, I like the sound of that, and as I say, I liked the look of the artwork as well. So I'll give that one a crack. That will be a digital comic, that one, digital manga. So, into the non-binary authors. So the fiction pick for this is Nettle Black by Nat Reeve. I think this one was also a recommendation from Willow. Yes, it was. This one I just immediately kind of thought, oh, that sounds fascinating. I think it's kind of historical fiction. But this is again some of the blow about it. Told through journal entries and letters, Nettle Black is a subversive and playful ride through the perils and joys of finding your place in the world, challenging myths about queerness, particularly transness, as a modern phenomenon, while exploring the practicalities of articulating queer perspectives when you're struggling for words. So yes, that one, when I saw Willow talk about that, I was like, yeah, that's going straight on the list. Apparently it's hilarious as well, which is always good. I'm trying to, sort of trying not to have too much like serious stuff. I think because especially around trans subjects for me, I need some lightness with it, because otherwise it gets a bit too, it's close to home, a lot of this stuff. So it's kind of, I need stuff that is joyous and funny, and kind of can be poignant as well, but nothing too hefty. I think I'll struggle to get through everything if I go for really serious stuff. Okay, on to the non-fiction by a non-binary author, and that will be a graphic novel called Fine by Rhea Ewing, which celebrates the diversity of experience within the transgender community. And I think Rhea went and ended up talking to a lot of different trans people about experiences, asking kind of like, spurred on by the question that they had themselves of what is gender and how do we experience gender. So yeah, this one is a memoir as well, really, about the kind of about gender expression, gender identity, and about kind of Rhea's exploration of those kind of topics. So yeah, interesting concept. I'm definitely interested to read a memoir or something that certainly has memoir elements, that is a visual format. And then the final one for the genre fiction for a non-binary author is Pet by Akweke Emezi, that I've had in my Audible library for a while now, and keep wanting to read. So this is the perfect opportunity to do so. And this is kind of young adult fantasy, I believe, and the main character is a young trans girl. So yes, I will look forward to all of those. So yes, that is everything for Trans Girl April. So it's quite a bit to get through there just for that. But then we move on to the next event. One that I cannot pass up, even though I'd already committed to doing Trans Girl April. I saw this announcement on Andrew's channel. It came from the page, and immediately knew that I was going to have to do it, and that is Old School April. So yes, Old School April is the brainchild, I believe, of Kelsi at Slime and Slashes. Great channel, which I only found recently, actually, thanks to Andrew. It came from the page, and his mentioning of Kelsi's channel, obviously, as the organizer of this readathon. And yeah, some fantastic content Kelsi's got. And so yeah, this is an epic, and I mean epic, nostalgia themed readathon, and watchathon as well. We've got lots of movies as well, which I will whip through quickly as part of this TBR, or TBW to be watched. So there are readathon prompts, there are watchathon prompts, and there are bonus prompts. It's very silly, and I love it for it. It's I think this is going to be my like fun prompt, fun readathon, this one. So yes, this is a team event as well, which is fantastic. I think it's based on I've got the notes here. It's based on a show called Legends of the Hidden Temple, which I'm not familiar with. You don't need to be familiar with it to participate. I think it must be an American show, but it sounds in some ways a little bit possibly like stuff like we had over here, like Nightmare, things like that. Where you've kind of got teams having to kind of do various different things for points, and so that there are teams for the readathon, and I am Blue Barracudas all the way. Blue Barracudas for the win. So yes, you earn points by doing the prompts, and I think this is a fantastic idea. I love this. So yes, there are 3 teams. There are the blue barracudas, there are the silver snakes, and the purple parrots, all of which have various different wonderful booktubers as part of those teams. And I will link to Kelsi's announcement with all of the details, tons of details, and also to Andrew's video as well, which is hilarious, by the way, of their announcements. And they've also got their own TBRs and book recommendations and all that kind of stuff. So yes, so to the prompts, away from my waffling and to the prompts. So prompt number 1 is read any Goosebumps book or read a book that fits the theme or vibe of an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark? And the publishing year for this doesn't matter. And so I won't read a Goosebumps book because I never have. I think they've got some at my library, but I'm not sure. So I'm actually going to use one of the examples that Kelsi has given us and either go for a book featuring clowns or a carnival, sort of based on an episode called The Tale of the Laughing in the Dark. And that, if I do that one, that will be a book called Clowns versus Spiders, which is described on Kindle as an insane mix of shameless silliness and grisly, creepy, crawly horror. Yep, sold. So either that one, or the other option for me is read a comic book, which is kind of the vibe of The Tale of the Ghastly Grinner, which again I've just bought a comic book recently. I bought Kingdom Come by Mark Waid and Alex Ross, so I could read that. But the other one that I thought that I've never read, that I've had on my list for a while, is Lumberjanes, Volume 1 of Lumberjanes, and that seems quite appropriate because that is about a group of young girls who spend a summer at camp, and they encounter like strange creatures and supernatural phenomena and all that kind of stuff, and that sounds, you know, very closely connected to the sort of the themes and the vibe of this whole readathon. So that's those are my first 2 possible options for that. Possibly do 2 because I think you can double up on the prompts, which is great. Okay, prompt number 2: read any horror book published or set in the 80s, or read a middle grade or YA book published or set in the 80s, or a book with a retro vibe. This one will be, for me, a horror book from the 80s, and that will be The Hellbound Heart by Clive Barker, which is one of the Clive Barkers I've never read, which, you know, is strange in some respects because that probably is one of the most well-known ones, but I think I never read it because I read Barker quite a long time ago, and that one I always kind of shied away from, knowing that it was, you know, the inspiration for Hellraiser, and Hellraiser, what I've seen of Hellraiser, terrified me. And so I kind of shied away from it, whereas now I think, no, I know I can handle horror books, you know, versus horror movies, and so I think, you know, now is the time to try that. And again, it's a short one, so I should be able to get through it quite easily. It's a novella. So that is my pick for that one, The Hellbound Heart. Next one is read an animal attack book. The publishing year doesn't matter for this. This one will be one that has very recently been reprinted, re-released, as part of the Paperbacks from Hell series. And that is Killer by Peter Tonkin, a killer whale attack book. And I saw the cover of this, I think, when it was being advertised, as it was, you know, sort of just before it came out, and kind of went, oh yeah, I'll have that. And then this readathon popped up, and I was like, yep, I know what I'm doing for that one then. So that is my pick for prompt number 3. Prompt number 4 for the readathon is nostalgic technology. Read a book featuring older technology on the cover or in the story. Cassettes, arcade machines, VHS tapes, Walkman, radio, Polaroid pictures, typewriter, etc. Publishing year doesn't matter. This one, I was struggling for this one a bit, and then I saw Kelsi's kind of recommendations, and she mentioned that you could read Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke by Eric LaRocca. This one. Because it is it's essentially it's a conversation between two women in a chat room in the early 2000s, and you know, chat rooms, whilst they still exist, they are, you know, they're very much massive at that time, so that counts as always technology. And so I went, okay then, Kelsi, I shall read that one, because I've had that one from my Christmas haul, and I haven't read it yet. So so that will be my pick for prompt number 4. Prompt number 5 is a mood read from 2003 or earlier, set in 2003 or earlier, or a book with a retro vibe. And I'm going to go for a comic book for this one, I think. This one will probably be either Hellblazer Volume 1, so I've never read any Hellblazer, or Preacher Volume 1, which again I've never read. Yeah, those I've gone for Kindle Unlimited picks, so I'm not spending loads of money. I will have to buy a few bits for this, but it's my birthday in April, so I'll have some nice birthday pennies to spend. But yes, those two will be stuff that I just find that I've already got access to online. So yes, a comic book for that one. Prompt 6 is a read a Fear Street book, or a Point Horror book, or a Christopher Pike book. This was one that I picked up in my little mini haul the other day. It's Point Horror, it's Teacher's Pet. I have read it before, but probably not for 30 years. So it would be very interesting to go back to this and reread it, because I don't remember it. I remember liking it, but I don't remember it. So yes, that is my pick for that one. Prompt number 7 is Teen Witch. Read a book with magic, magical elements, magical items, wizards, sorcerers, witches, cursed objects, occult, supernatural elements. Publishing year doesn't matter. This one is my pick for this one is one that I've had on my my wish list for a while, and even more so since I finished Legends and Lattes, and kind of wanted to try some other fantasy stuff that was a bit different from your kind of, you know, your archetypal fantasy. And this is A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking by T. Kingfisher. And I'm going to have this as an audiobook. And this is about a 14-year-old girl, Mona, who isn't like the kind of the other wizards that are, you know, in charge of like defending the city and stuff. She can't do all of the, you know, kind of big, you know, sort of lightning spells and, you know, control the weather and all that kind of stuff. Instead, she her magic only works on bread, and her familiar is a sourdough starter. And yeah, I think it's that's the tone. If that's the tone of the book, I'm gonna love it. So yeah, she has a comfortable life in her aunt's bakery, but that life is turned upside down when she finds a dead body on the bakery floor. So, you know, a bit of a mystery there as well, I guess. So yeah, I will look forward to trying that one finally for that prompt. Prompt number 8: read any horror book published in the 90s, or a middle grade or YA book published or set in the 90s, or a book with a retro vibe. This one is where I will fill my monthly Stephen King requirements, if you like, and that will be with Rose Madder, which I have in my Audible library, which I've had for a while. So yes, that one will be my Stephen King for the month. I'm going to try and get through one Stephen King each month, at least, going forwards. So that one fits nicely for this. Prompt number 9: Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Read a story or book with a female protagonist, or a book story or story written by a woman. Publishing year doesn't matter. This one will be another comic. This one will be the kind of more up-to-date Buffy comics. I read the I read the comics that came out not long after the TV series finished. So like when they did kind of, did them as kind of like season 8 and season 9. And I really enjoyed those, but then I kind of dropped off Buffy comics and comics generally. And then getting into comics properly a few years ago, I've eventually kind of worked my way around to sort of to the newer Buffy comics, and so I have one of those in my Kindle library, and so I shall read that for that one, I think. And prompt number 10, which is a bonus prompt or a replacement prompt, read a book with neon on the cover. That is one of the ones that I will use as a double up from School April, and that will be In the Shadow of Extinction by Kelly Warner, because that has neon text on the cover. So yes, that is my final reading prompt pick. Then we're into the Watchathon. Okay, let's whiz through the Watchathon as well. I won't do all of the prompts for the Watchathon, I don't think. Things like the first one, which is watch a Goosebumps episode. Again, not particularly bothered about that, so probably won't do that. But again, I don't think there's a limit on these. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But I could do, one of the prompts twice, essentially. So I won't do the Goosebumps movie. The second one is watch any 80s horror movie. One that I will definitely be watching is The Thing by John Carpenter, which is 1980, I believe, which I've never seen, which I've heard, and I've watched other people watching it, because when I was a kid, a young teenager, I at a sleepover, I remember that was the film that everybody had picked to watch, and I was like, no way am I watching that. So I sat behind the television and watched them all scare the crap out of themselves watching it, and it was hilarious. But I do want to watch it now. I've seen clips from it, and I'm pretty sure I can handle it. So yes, I shall watch The Thing for that one. Prompt number 3, watch an episode of any 90s Nickelodeon show or a Nickelodeon movie. I do like SpongeBob, so I will watch a SpongeBob. In fact, I'll watch the first SpongeBob, because I don't think I've ever seen the first SpongeBob, and I think it's 1999, so I think I need to probably go right back to the beginning of SpongeBob to get that into the 90s. Prompt number 4 is watch a movie or TV show episode set in the 80s or 90s, or a new adaptation of an old school movie, show or book. That one will be an episode of Buffy, probably one of my favourite episodes of Buffy, which is Hush, and that was from 1999. In fact, I think it was the last episode of the 90s. I think it came out in December 99. So that is the episode I will be watching for that. Fantastic episode of Buffy. Prompt number 5 is a mood watch, anything from 2003 or earlier. This one will probably be a nostalgia kick for me, and that will be Tremors. I adore that film. Prompt number 6 is an episode of a Disney Channel show from the 90s or early 2000s. Might do this, don't know. I'll need to go and have a trawl through Disney Plus and see if I can find something that I want to watch. Number 7 is watch any 80s movie or TV show episode. This one will be my wife's pick. We are having a nostalgia season at the moment, where we're watching 80s and 90s movies. Some that we've seen before and some that we haven't seen, and some 70s stuff as well. And so that will be part of our family continued viewing. So I will let my wife pick that one. Watch prompt number 8, watch any 90s horror movie. Well, I've just watched the first Scream the other day for the first time in about 20 years, just over 20 years, I should think. So yeah, I want to watch Scream 2. I think that is 1997. So that will be my 90s horror pick. And prompt number 9, watch any 90s movie or TV show episode. That will also be, wife's choice, lady's choice. For that, so I don't know. I'll be surprised and let Sarah pick. So those are the Watchathon prompts. There are also some bonus prompts. I told you this was an epic event. It really is an epic event. So the first bonus prompt is a host recommendation of a book. There is a nice long list of various different recommendations. And I'm going to go with Rosemary's Baby. I've had this on the bookshelf for too long, again, like most of my books, and haven't read it. So yes, this one was Kelly's pick from Kelly Hooked on Books. And so yes, if I get round to it, that will be the host recommendation that I read. And then there are host recommendation movies as well, and I hope to get through a few more of those because I can stick movies on late at night before I go to bed. And so some of the ones that I do intend to watch are Little Shop of Horrors. Love that film and that musical, loads. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, The Lost Boys, Breakfast Club. Andrew has got Robocop 2, which I've never seen, on his recommended movies, and also then there is Labyrinth. So yes, there are plenty of movies there for me as well. There are various other bonus prompts, including things like, eat a Pop-Tart, have nostalgic snacks, show an old childhood picture of yourself. I might do that, I might not do that. I'm not entirely sure about that one. Build a Lego set, probably do that. Do some nostalgia themed crafting. I probably will do that. I've got some small cross stitch patterns I want to get through of things like Pokemon, and kind of old school cartoons and stuff like that. So yeah, I should probably do some of that while I'm listening to audiobooks. There are a couple of movie ones on this as well. Any movie from the 70s. So for me, that will be either Alien, which I haven't seen in a while, and or if I don't fancy that, The Wiz, which I haven't seen in years, and is another. I've been talking a lot about musicals recently with the wonderful Mr. Troy Tradup, and we're both fans of musicals and theatre, but we got into talking about musicals, and that was one that I totally forgot about until I was doing a bit of a search of musicals the other day. I went, The Wiz, I love The Wiz. So yes, I'll probably try and watch that again. And another one is watch a movie starring someone you had a crush on back in the day. This could be one of two, so you might get through both. One is But I'm a Cheerleader from 1999, and the crush there is Clea Duvall. Great little gay movie of the 90s. Very kitsch, very camp. And the other movie, this will tie in anyway because I'm watching Tremors already, and I did have a little bit of a crush on Fred Ward. Yeah, it wasn't Kevin Bacon. Wasn't asked about Kevin Bacon at all, but the kind of the ruggedness of Fred Ward. Yeah. So there's another couple of movies there for me to watch, but that is pretty much it for the month of April. It's gonna be a busy month in terms of my books and movie consumptions. When it comes to doing wrap-ups, I will split these up because otherwise we'll be here for hours, and I want to kind of devote time properly to each of the events. So yes, but that is my plan for the month of April. All links to the relevant channels and announcement videos, details, etc. for these events will be in the description down below, please do go check them out if you're interested. Two fabulous events, I think. I'm going to have so much fun with both of these. They're going to be both so interesting, and there will be some nice crossovers with them as well. And thanks very much to the organisers of both events, because these have got me really excited about reading for the month of April, especially coming off the back of my illness and feeling a little bit slumpy with my reading. This is going to get me out of that. This is going to get me properly back in and like having fun with stuff. So I'm probably disproportionately excited, but I don't care. It's going to be fun, and I love it. Yeah, there'll be some hilarious stuff read, I should think, for this. So yes, that is it. I think I will be releasing my wrap up for March. For Adventures in Genre later in the week, and I will do a mini wrap up of other stuff, but because I've been ill, there's very little of that. There's maybe one other book and a couple of comic books, but I will do that separately, and bits of writing that I managed to get done before I got ill. So yes, so that will be coming up, and I will be back with my top 10s as well. It's comic books coming up next, so not sure when that will be. Possibly next Sunday. Possibly into the week beyond, but yes, I'm going to try and do some shorts as well this month whilst I'm reading all of this mammoth reading list that I've just gone through, so do watch out for those. So thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please do consider giving us a like, and subscribing for more content coming soon, but from me, for now, I will say ta-ra.